oh boy, the Southern 500 at Darlington Speedway is under 5 hours away, and we have some time to talk about it. I am here with the one and the only, the best in the business, Taco. What's going on, Taco?
Sup? We've got 4 hours, 44 minutes, and we just missed the 44 seconds, bro. Come on.
Here's the thing. These always go too long. We're keeping it under an hour today. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna set it up like this. Listen, we're gonna talk about Darlington a little bit, the track, the race. Then we're gonna talk about lineup construction and strategy for a little bit, and then we're not gonna go driver by driver. We're gonna pick out some drivers and talk about the big turning points of the slate. We're gonna talk about some different things. If you have any questions about a specific driver, two things you can do. You can go over to dfsarmy.com, hit that cheat sheet. Me and Taco wrote out detailed notes for every single driver in the slate. You can go over, you can get our thoughts there, or you can put them in the chat. We'll try to talk about them. But we're keeping this under an hour. First time ever. We're doing our best.
Let's do it. I'm down for it.
Let's do it. All right. So let's just dive right in. This isn't going to be a 2-hour one. That's just not what's going to happen. We're at Darlington. Darlington's a very unique racetrack. It's one of the few racetracks that's left on the schedule that we actually go to a couple times. So we do have one race this year to lean on. Egg-shaped 1.5 mile, or I think it's actually a little bit longer than 1.5 mile track.
It's 1.3.
1.3, there you go.
Back in my day, we all knew it was egg-shaped because they had to build around a lake.
Very low grip, very high tire wear. And this race in particular, the Southern 500 mile, it'll be about a 4.5 hour, 5 hour race that goes day to night, which is very significant. A mistake I've made a ton of times when it comes to more so betting on these races is you fall in love with somebody in the first stage because they show a lot of speed, they show a lot of maneuverability, and then all of a sudden they disappear for the rest of the race. It's because the track is going to change so significantly. There's going to be almost no grip at the start of this race, and then the track will start to tighten up. So it's very much a good drivers tend to win at Darlington type of track, though we have seen some outlier type winners over the course of the last couple of years. Guys like Chase Briscoe last year obviously stand out, but for the most part, you're going to see the drivers that have been winning all year are going to win at Darlington. Is that a fair assessment, Taco?
Yeah, I mean, Eric Jones is not a standout winner. He's just good like that, right? You've got some guys that are particularly good at this track, and then you've got some guys like the aggressive younger drivers. This is their worst track. Like Carson Hocevar doesn't have a stage result at this track. I don't even think he's ever finished here. Like, he's miserable here. You just don't want to do Carson Hocevar things. You've got to be patient. You've got to keep your head together. And that's why Denny Hamlin has won here 5 fucking times. Like, it is just a Hamlin track. It is bumpy. It's very touchy. You will see the practice times are fucking ridiculous. The group split was out of control. Like, I think the top 2 or 3 guys were like AJ Allmendinger, Justin Haley, and like I think McDowell was P1, right? You do not go crazy over that. It's just the heat affects this track. It changes so much, and it's gotten even worse over time. Like,
yeah, as the track wears, it becomes very touchy and sensitive to rubber being laid down and heat. And obviously, it's going to go through a major swing as the sun goes down tonight. We'll hop into practice times here in a minute. Tire-wise, the only note, it is a different left side tire than we ran in the spring, but from the sounds of it, it wasn't necessarily a compound adjustment. It was just a reliability thing. I don't expect major performance changes as far as tire wear goes from what we saw in the spring, other than longer stages here, presumably longer green flag runs. So we probably will get to a section of the tire that we never actually reached in the spring. But for the most part, this is a tire package that we have used at Charlotte and Michigan. And, we have used some combination of the lefts and the rights a ton of times. So the team should be very familiar with this tire compound. They've got 12 sets. I don't think tire management in terms of new tires will be an issue. I think they'll have tires for every time they want them. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just about it. I think the main takeaway here is just how odd this track is, both from a shape and perspective and track feature perspective, but also the low grip, high tire wear really leans itself into certain drivers.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like Homestead in that regard, but with the banking, almost feels like Las Vegas, but Las Vegas like a completely different track with how much nicer the surface is there. But your wall riders still tend to do pretty damn good here. Like Reddick Larson's was one of their best tracks. We should probably take a look at our freaking 9 a.m. practice for a 6 p.m. race. What a great idea that was.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I mentioned this in the notes. Practice times probably won't be super predictive here for a bunch of reasons. The main reason being they practice at 9 a.m. under a rising sun that definitely had effect on the track. They were also the first cars on track that day, so there was a fairly green racetrack, and you see that in the practice time for the guys that win out early. And just in general, with how much this track is going to change, the track conditions that they practiced on are going to be different than the track positions they start the track conditions they start the race on, which are going to be majorly different from the track conditions they end the race on. So I wouldn't lean too much into practice times. You can use them as a reference point, but if a driver was particularly good in practice or particularly bad, I wouldn't lean too much into that. What I would lean into, and Taco, I'll kind of cede the floor to you here, is where we see the winners come from when it comes to DFS here. And a lot of the time, your main dominator is going to start up front.
Yeah, but not nearly as much as in the last gen. And we're just looking at this current next gen group of races here. The advantage up front used to be a lot stronger. You could argue this year has been maybe the worst year for pole sitters ever. But we're still seeing, 115 on average. A lot of that, thanks to Byron in the spring leading 250 off the pole. Probably not going to see that again here, just with how ever-changing this track is. And usually this is a pretty high carnage race for an intermediate track. They have the caution prop set at 7.5. Almost feel like you should just take the over on that. With the Darlington stripes and tires cut down here, that number feels pretty low to me.
Yeah, especially in that first stage. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we got 2 or 3 cautions in the first stage alone, just because the track is going to start very loose, and the crew chiefs, the crews, are going to want to start the cars loose so they build tight. So the first 20 laps, these guys are going to be on skates. And what we do see a lot at Darlington, the 2 major incidents we see are just kind of those lazy spins coming out of turn 3 or coming out of turn 4 or coming out of turn 2. Those lazy single car spins, which tend to bring out a caution because you're right at the end of the corner, or somebody getting tight on the exit, usually a 4, and kind of cutting somebody's nose off, and you kind of get the driver on the outside gets walled, and the driver on the inside kind of gets put into the wall. We see that quite a bit. So yeah, 7.5 does seem low, but they're usually not super destructive unless they're like restart wrecks or cautions on like restart +5 laps. They're usually like single or 2 car incidents that they can usually fix, but there's usually a lot of them.
And then if you look at just the optimal percentages here, if you go kind of row by row up front, it's really telling. The pole sitter optimal 57% of the time. And then the second row, optimal quite a bit, while the third row has never been optimal. Yeah. Really interesting split there.
Yeah, and I think the other thing worth noting here is where your dominator comes from. Almost always in that top 5. Very seldom I mean, outside of the top 10, almost never a dominator, or maybe literally never a dominator besides whoever started 17th one year and had a ton of fast laps. But for the most part, your main dominators are going to come from the top 5. But you do see a lot of cars tend to score in the top 10, and you end up seeing a lot of good scoring cars come out of the top 10 as well.
Yeah, this is one of the better tracks overall for guys starting on the pole. Up there with the short tracks almost. And yeah, we're like this is the 6th best track for guys starting in the top 10. Again, most of those tracks in the top 5 there are going to be the short track. So it being the shortest intermediate track kind of makes a little more sense. It almost plays like a shorter track, but usually these shorter tracks are typically flat. So it's a completely different style of track. Again, super, super unique. The way this thing runs out, it's almost kind of hard to compare it to other tracks. Like, Dover is the most recent track that I guess is more similar to Darlington than it used to be. Because it's a mile long and it's also steep. They're kind of similar on paper, but now that they actually use the intermediate package at Dover, it's a little bit more predictive there. But yeah, it's just kind of in that weird zone, like Gateway in Nashville, where it's not like an intermediate track where we have several tracks that are pretty close, pretty similar. But yeah, and for correlations also, Texas, Kansas, Phoenix, Richmond, Michigan, Las Vegas. Those are your they have some really, really, really high correlation numbers. Actually, this is one of the most predictive tracks we have on the entire circuit, up there with Phoenix as and that just means that your good drivers are going to kind of do good here. It's usually what that shows there, if it's very correlative with other tracks. So you look at the guys that do good here, again, like you said earlier, it's kind of who you suspect it's going to be.
Yeah, and you see that with like Texas, less so Texas, but Kansas for sure, Phoenix for sure, Richmond for sure. Those are drivers' tracks, and that's where Darlington kind of fits in. I did want to note, like, what's up with starting 6th?
5th and 6th. The 3rd row is completely void of 50 fantasy point results. Larson's starting there, so that's probably bound to change here. But
yeah, who starts 6th? Todd. Oh no, not a Todd Gillen. What is 6th? Ross Chastain. Listen, that might be another bad day, but we'll get into that here shortly. Yeah. Yeah, so I think generally speaking, what you want to do from a build perspective is you want to target 1 or 2 guys in the top 10, or even 2 guys in the top 5, and then a low cost guy in the top 10. Maybe 1 or 2 guys in the top 25, and then 1 place differential guy. You see a lot of high scores coming from kind of 25th to 35th. Mm-hmm. Those are, the start of the 30s, the end of the 20s. Find a guy or 2 in that range. 29th appears to be a pretty solid performing spot. But for the most part, you do not want to necessarily load up on place differential here. There are some good place differential plays, but a lot of the time we see a lot of really high scores come out of the top 10. And if we go to historical, sort by highest scores of all time, obviously Byron starting from the pole, but you'll notice a couple instances of 30s, but a lot of these top scores evers are guys that are starting in the top 10.
And they're all guys that finished top 5. It's super important here.
And if we switch here, pretty common to see the pole pit sitter hit the optimal. That's happened 4 times. And then you see a lot of it's pretty linear through the pack, but you'll see it weighted towards the top 5 for sure. That's 14 or 15 instances of guys starting in the top 10 and hitting the optimal over the course of the last, I think this is 8 races or 7 races. This is the 8th race. So 15 instances of guys starting in the top 10, hitting the optimal, a lower amount from 10 to 20. And then once you get to 20 plus, you'll see it pretty common to see guys starting towards the back. And a lot of the cases like Chase Elliott, that was obviously a massive PD chalk play. Kevin Harvick, massive PD chalk play. But you do see guys like Justin Haley started 29th here in 23rd, in 23, finished only 24th, but because it was probably 2 or 3 guys starting in the top 10, he hit the optimal.
That was a really unique optimal too. If you go back to the DK average by star, you can see the optimal. There were just 4 dominators that you needed to pay up for, and you just had to hard double punt twice.
Yeah. So a guy like Justin Haley, who has hit the optimal here a couple times. Jeez. Oh my goodness, 4 times.
Yeah. He's an interesting one. We'll get to. He was 60-1 last night.
Yeah.
Oddly good track for him, but
yeah, we'll definitely get into that. But even this, like the same year, Ty Dillon started 26th, finished 29th, and hit the optimal because there was one of those 4 dominator type of races. Let's look at. We should probably look at both. Let's start with the Southern 500 last year. So the difference between the Southern 500 and the spring race is 400 miles versus 500 miles, and a lot tends to happen in those extra 100 miles. So I almost prefer to use last year's Southern 500 rather than the most recent race at Darlington. We saw Bubba Wallace dominate this race from the lead early. I think we'll see something similar from Denny Hamlin. Any caution in that first stage, we will see pit stops, unless it's like within the first couple laps. Like last year, we had one early, they didn't pit, but then they had a 20-lap run and everyone pitted to shake up the field for the most part. So pit stops are definitely going to be a big thing here. I think my main takeaway from looking at this and looking at the last couple Southern 500s, and we'll talk about Larson here, Larson is just willing to take risk earlier than everyone else, and it usually ends up being a pretty good stage for him. That stage 1 of the Southern 500 has been very good to Kyle Larson for 2 reasons. He's just willing to go closer to the wall than anyone else early, and also the natural loose condition of the track paired with everybody else on the track starting loose is advantage Larson, who loves to drive loose race cars. So I think you'll see Larson be fairly competitive in that first stage, but I do think we'll still see Hamlin dominate a good portion of it. Main takeaways here, and somebody pointed this out in the Discord, you see a lot of guys just kind of holding serve. Like as the race progresses, Briscoe just stayed, in the top 5 all day. Reddick just stayed in the top 5 until he had issues towards the end. Everybody at this, if you start in the top 10, you kind of just stay in the top 10. There's not a whole lot of attrition or moving around that you might think. And that's where you have to consider maybe PD isn't the way to attack this slate. Maybe it's more so, find your dominators and find cheap guys who are going to score well just based on position.
Jesus Christ, we're going to end up playing Haley.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was watching, last night I was just bored just watching best of Radioactive here at Darlington, and someone I've noticed who's also very, very happy and willing to go to the wall early and often, that's not named Reddick or Larson, is Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin's very good early on in this race usually. Off the pole, I have no real concerns with him here. He's a very, very good pole sitter. And when's the last time we've seen a pole sitter really do anything? It's been a long time. I think people are starting to really not like the pole sitters. I mean, I blame Briscoe for a lot of that, a lot of these tracks.
For sure.
Or just the fact that people have been trimming out. But here it is great to be up front.
Yeah, for sure. I think the other thing to point out before we flip over to the race earlier this spring, this is 2 races in a row we have seen massive single dominator type of stuff. Larson led 263 laps here last year. Byron led 242. Am I at the right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Byron led 2. So we've seen Hendrick cars be uber dominant at this race 2 races in a row. And Larson obviously had trouble here in the spring. At this point, I think Larson was a nominated member of the patented mid-season Hendrick R&D program. We've seen Byron for a couple years in a row get 2 wins early in the season and then have a terrible summer. This year, we saw Kyle Larson get 2 wins early in the season and have a terrible summer. I don't think that's necessarily coincidence. And now that the playoffs starts, I do expect to see a more competitive Kyle Larson here. But it is worth noting that, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, those guys get a lot of attention at Darlington. But the fact is the last 2 Darlington races have been very, very dominant for Hendrick cars. And even the spring race in 24, we saw pretty much a single dominator. I mean, Tyler Reddick was just better than the entire field. And in the spring, he was better than Tyler Reddick was the best car. Ryan Blaney came on really well late, and then that race got kind of weird at the end. But single dominator has definitely been the trend here over the course of the last 3 races, but the larger trend is that we'll see a couple of dominators.
Yeah, I like it. I guess we should just try and keep this under an hour. Let's rock and roll through this thing, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. First thing I want to look at practice times. Like I said, these aren't super predictive, and if you sort by group, you'll see why. This first group had a major track condition advantage. Green racetrack, cool racetrack. They were significantly faster. So if you see, if you sort this by best 15, Justin Haley, fastest car. Not necessarily the case because he had better track conditions. He went out early. As always, I want to kind of chop off the first 20 laps. That won't necessarily fix the issue. You'll still see a lot of Group A guys popping, but it will give us a better it will give us a better idea of who has the handle on the car, who has better long run pace. So I'm going to chop off those first 20 laps and sort by 10. You'll still see a group of Group A cars here. There is a technique you can do that don't necessarily use anymore, but if you want, you can go and find the average speed of both groups and make like an adjusted practice speed. If you do that, it becomes a little more clear who's fast and who's not.
Well, there's a problem with that strategy right now is that Group B has all the playoff guys, all the actual good drivers, and Group A has all the shit boxes. So that's why early in the season, maybe when it's a decent mix of good and bad drivers in both, or like after a super speedway. But yeah, Group A, you could tell like the group without any playoff drivers being significantly faster than the group with playoff drivers. That's how you know there's a problem with practice.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I don't necessarily rely on that technique much at all. Even early season, I don't do it much. There's just too much context. But I do think Ty Gibbs' speed is probably pretty legit. But I think the main takeaway here is this Penske Group B dominance on the long runs. And that's exactly what we saw from Ryan Blaney at the end of the race in the spring. They had that long run towards the end of the race. And Blaney was just significantly faster than everyone by a measure of a couple of tenths, if not half a second. Easily caught Reddick from like 5 seconds back, passed him, and then Kyle Larson wrecked, and we had a bunch of silliness. But I do think it's worth pointing out that long run speed still seems to be there. And the other thing I think is worth pointing out is it's clear to me Tyler Reddick had long run pace issues last year. He was super good on restarts in short to mid run and fell off hard late race. What you can kind of see a commitment to sustain speed over the course of the run here. And obviously this is only, they're only in 30 to 40 lap runs. We're going to see 80 lap runs tonight. So this isn't super reliable, but I do think there's evidence of Tyler Reddick making a slight car adjustment here. So yeah, let's leave it there and just go over to the main page. And like I said, we're not going to go through every driver. If you want info on every single driver, you can head on over to dfsarmy.com. Me and Taco, for every single race in every single series all year, we do notes for every single driver on the slate. Nilly does notes too. Did Nilly? Yes, Nilly's got his notes in there. It's 3 different opinions on every driver in the field. You can get those over at dfsarmy.com. You also get access to this research station, which I will continue to say is the single most important piece of literature in my life, week to week to week. If Taco starts doing this, we're all in trouble. If you want access to all these tools, head on over to dfsarmy.com. The link is in the description. You can get signed up. You get access to all the tools, including the domination station. Make up to 600 lineups in like 30 seconds. You also get access to the Discord that me and Taco hang out in all the time, and we have a really good community over there of NASCAR DFS fans. Go over to dfsarmy.com. Links in the description of the video. You can get signed up. There's tons of promo codes. You can use code TACO. If you go to the DFS Army Twitter account, there's a bunch of really good promo codes right now. At the end of the month before NFL starts up, you can find a good deal. Anyway, if you have any specific questions, put it in the chat. We'll try to address them. But I think the key to the slate is probably just Denny Hamlin, who starts first. And like Taco said, pole sitters are kind of out of favor right now. But this is obviously a tremendous, tremendous track for Denny Hamlin. One, we see him dominate or lead laps just about every time we come here. And starting first, he is in position to dominate again.
Yeah, I think one of the best things about them adding the snake drafts is you can get a real sense of ownership. Because since qualifying, it's been pretty solidified that Hamlin goes first, then Byron, then Larson, and it's those three every single time. So I think we have a little hierarchy. I mean, people prefer Byron over Larson because of the spring race, right? But Hamlin just being on the pole, being a 5-time winner here, just winning at Dover, winning the spring race, technically, not the Dominator, but won the race. Yeah. He's got you locked on as the highest owned chalk here. Probably for good reason. And you see the same thing in the odds, just barely favored over Byron and Larson.
Yeah, and I think a good note on Hamlin too is he'll probably lead quite a few laps early. He might lead the entire first stage and fall out of the lead at some point, but he probably won't fall out of the top 5 at any point. So if he dominates the majority of this race and doesn't have major incidents, good chance you're going to see a guy like Hamlin hit the optimal. He also has the benefit of the first pit stall, which is like, if he's back in the field, that's plus 2 or 3 positions by itself. That first pit stall is very valuable at Darlington. Super valuable when it comes to maintaining the lead as well, but he does have that advantage as well. So there's a very, very clear path for Hamlin to hit the optimal.
I'd say before we go down this field any further, we should probably catch up on some comments here.
Yeah. Guys, I'm sorry. Let me. How far?
I got you guys. Don't worry.
Okay. Let's start here. I made 2. I think this guy, when we were talking about correlation, Darlington, Dover, Homestead, and then separate intermediate categories. That's probably a pretty good way to do it. Get the steep tracks separate from the traditional intermediates. Timmy Hill, shout out Timmy Hill.
Bro, that was crazy yesterday. See, his pit stops are 3 seconds slower than the field, and he still finished top 10. Insane. Not today, though. Not today.
Yeah, probably not. Can I put the mortgage on Denny Hamlin to be the top Toyota today? I wouldn't, because I'm very high on Tyler Reddick, and we'll talk about him here in a second. But yeah, I hate, especially in the Cup Series, I'm not a big fan of like top manufacturer and all these kind of exotic bets because it's just, you want to align yourself with the goals of the driver. And Denny Hamlin is going out to win the race. He's not necessarily going to make decisions in race to be the best performing Toyota. He's going to make decisions that'll maximize his ability to win the race. So I like to make bets that align my goals with those of the drivers. So I would say no. I don't think it's a bad bet, but I definitely wouldn't have the mortgage on it for sure.
He's got 3 ways of winning this race, if you think about it.
How hard do I have to think?
He owns 2 cars.
I got yeah. Okay, yeah. Is this another week to load up on pick 6 unders? Probably not.
No.
You're going to see a lot of guys holding serve and kind of running exactly where you suspect they will run. This is actually probably one of the worst weeks to load up on pick 6 unders.
Yeah, they have like Hamlin like 4.5. That's a great number. They've got like Larson at 5.5. That's a great number. Byron 5.5. That's a great number. Like last week was definitely way more of a week to smash on the unders because of just how super speedways are and how the people you're going against sometimes bet. Here, like it, Darlington, the projections and the odds are going to be pretty sharp across the board.
Yeah, we've got a lot of, even in the next gen, we have a lot of instances to go off of. There's been 7 races here already.
We'll say Hamlin, they give him 80.5 lead laps, and I think Prize Picks is the same, which, about fair. So you probably pencil him in for a solid floor there of like 50 some fantasy points.
Yeah, for sure. Hamlin, my first spot, I want probably 45 to 50% ownership with him. Yeah, you'll get a little bit of leverage if you go up to 50, I think. I think Taco has him pegged at 41%. I think that's about right. If you want to get leverage, you probably do need to go up to 50, which kind of restricts some of the other drivers you can use. Ken says Hamlin early, agreed. Reddick at some point, agreed. But I'm feeling a third Dom today, Byron or Bell. I agree that Christopher Bell is kind of the odd man out in this situation. And if you looked at his practice times, they weren't that uncomfortable. And you do see, like, he's run top 3 here the last couple races. The problem with Bell at Darlington is he does what a lot of other drivers, like he doesn't move forward unless it's on a long run. Like restarts, short run, he tends to kind of hold serve. On long runs, he starts to push forward. But in 2025, that long run speed has been tripled and doubled by Ryan Blaney. So he's not the fastest on long runs anymore, which was his major strength, which I think kind of caps his upside a little bit. But I do think Bell is being slightly overlooked.
Yeah, the problem with Bell is that with 367 laps to go around, you really want to focus on Dominator points. He is allergic to Dominator points at this track type. This season, he is 12th in average lead laps. 12th. And he's priced 5th highest overall.
Yeah, exactly. There's not the Dominator upside
forever.
And when you see Bell start to push forward, it's usually towards the end of the race, and that's when guys like Ryan Blaney are starting to shine and just kind of gets overshadowed. So that's my problem with Bell.
Now in a month we will. I'm happy to take Bell, but it's a month from now. It's not now.
Yeah. Well, next week. Wait, or 2 weeks from now is Loudon, right?
No, it's a month. We got 4 weeks.
When we get to Loudon, we're playing Bell, but until then, pit stall obviously a huge advantage here. Makes sense. Might get the finish, but not the points. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I really expect Bell will probably compete for a top 5 here, but the Dominator upside probably comes based off some carnage or extended green flag runs where he can utilize his long run ability, which we don't tend to see until the end of this race when Dominator points are already paid out. All right, we're caught up on comments. I do think so. Denny Hamlin is obviously the most common Dom here. Byron and Larson are probably 2A and 2B. Like I said, I wouldn't be too put off by Kyle Larson's performance here in the spring. I think these guys have really similar setups and really similar ability. I think Kyle Larson's upside is a little higher, but his floor is also a little lower. Larson will not get through this whole race without hitting the wall. He'll probably hit it 90 times. Byron doesn't tend to make those same mistakes, but he's not as fast as Larson. So it's really, I prefer Larson in this situation. Like I said, I've been pretty adamant about a Larson rebound as soon as we hit the playoffs. I think we'll start to see it, but he is going to knock that wall about 100 times today. And it's just a matter if the car can keep up with him. And if it doesn't, then Byron will be there to capitalize.
So people are really down on Larson right now. Go to the finishes tab real fast. And I just want to look at the tracks we've been to, right? Daytona, nope. Richmond, nope. Watkins, nope. Iowa, nope. Indianapolis, nope. Dover, arguable. Sonoma, nope. Chicago Street, nope. Atlanta, nope. Pocono, nope. Mexico City, nope. Michigan, arguable. Nashville, arguable. It's been a while since we've been in intermediate tracks.
Yeah.
And
we had a really weird stretch of races.
Yeah, since then, I mean, the road courses, especially, he's like wrecked out of all of them. And he's just not dominated. People are on a bit of a Kyle Larson fatigue because he's done pretty horribly at a lot of spots where he's supposed to have done really good at. Like, he has not been the best at short tracks this year, right? But I think people are going to be higher on Byron than Larson. But if you go back to the main tab here and just scoot over a little bit and look at all the Dominator point trends, you will see Larson's really, really fucking good at this track type. Really fucking good at this track. The most average lead laps, by far the most average lead laps here at this track type this season. Not even close. Like, people should, like, Larson should be the highest owned. Even if you just go over to the green flag lap stats, you can see he's leading 33% of the laps in 10 races on this track type. No one else is really even close. Is it to the left?
My bad.
It's not even close. You can also see, like, Byron and Hamlin are just way safer versions of the Larson play, but Larson has the highest upside pretty much of anyone here. So
yeah, and I think we already kind of talked about this, but you see Larson had a really good start to the season. One at Bristol, one at I'm going the wrong way here. Where am I? Where's Daytona? There it is. One at Homestead, one at Bristol, one at Kansas.
Destroyed Kansas, annihilated Kansas, and then
becomes the Hendrick patented R&D car for the summer. We see this. We've seen this for the last 3 years, Alex Bowman aside. But whichever car performs well at the start of the season for Hendrick tends to have a poor summer. For the last 2 years, it was William Byron. This year, it was Kyle Larson, and they always start to perform again once the playoffs come around. I really believe that Kyle Larson was the designated Hendrick R&D car for the summer, and that would explain a lot of these uncharacteristic mechanical issues. We saw that weird thing at Watkins Glen where he kind of just overdrove first, and they never really talked about it. I suspect you'll see classic Larson here. Again, Blaney wins the spring race if Larson didn't dump him. Yeah, well, if Larson doesn't spin, I mean, Blaney took the lead with like 3 laps to go and was significantly faster. Yeah, Blaney 100% should have won that race.
Yeah, he was gone. I guess we could talk about him now here. I mean, Blaney.
Yeah, I guess that's the next guy to talk about. So Hamlin is main dominator. Byron or Larson are definitely 2A and 2B. And then Blaney, who's not great at Darlington and has never really been, really showed out here in the spring. And you can see it just in the fast laps of this spring race. If I sort by fast laps, I'm in the wrong. Here we go. We'll sort by, let me close this so I don't go back to it. Fast laps. He had 47 fast laps and only 2 laps led. And almost all of those fast laps were in that last run. He was so fast on the long run when the track kind of settled down. And you see it, you know, he ran kind of mid-road all day and then just turned on in those laps, those last 50 laps. I think we'll see something similar here today. And you can see it. Where's that last restart?
Yeah, he was flying.
Flew through the field, took the lead with 7 laps to go. Larson spins here for no reason. Larson shouldn't have even been on the track. He had crashed way earlier. And then, you know, they have a late race restart. Hamlin wins. But I don't think Blaney carries like true Dominator upside. I think he carries, you know, a lot of fast laps and potentially a race win. But I would kind of be surprised. It would be uncharacteristic to see Blaney go out and lead 100 laps.
I think the thing with Blaney is that, yeah, his track history here, especially before the next gen, abysmal, awful. He's been figuring out tracks that he's not been good at recently. And if you look at the 2 races before last race where he had the fastest car, you could argue he was going to be really, really good. We just didn't get a chance to see it, right? The last Southern 500, he lasted like, 2 laps for getting taken out? The spring race before that, I'd argue he was quite fast.
Yeah, he had
and then he got taken out again. So
yeah, even early.
Track history here isn't as bad as it seems. It seems really sneaky. And yeah, he's fast lap guy. Fast laps score twice as many points as lead laps.
And the nice thing about Blaney as well is his floor would appear to be pretty high. Like he's a very good finisher. He does have some destructive finishes at times. A lot of this is mechanical issues. But on races that he finishes, you're never going to see like a pedestrian day from Blaney. Like it's usually top 5 or like dead last. So the floor for Blaney, though he doesn't necessarily carry the Dominator upside of some of these guys, he definitely has a higher floor than a lot of them.
Yeah, and I can tell like people are picking Reddick over him for sure. Even Bell over Blaney. They're taking Elliott over him, taking Keselowski over him. I just kind of noticed that Blaney is going a little bit under noticed here. So pretty good play at lower ownership than the top 3 guys.
Yeah, the next one we'll talk about here is going to be another popular play. It's Tyler Reddick. Reddick is my favorite play on the slate, and it's because Reddick is, if you look at the track history for Reddick, it's pretty pedestrian, but it doesn't really tell the story, which is Reddick is like super, super dominant here consistently. Like here in the spring, 42 laps led, 20 fast laps. Southern 500 last year was a bit of an outlier kind of performance, but you go back to that spring race, absolutely murdered that slate very consistently. If I sort this and we see the Tyler Reddick performances, very consistently putting up significant Dominator points, almost to like a 50 or 60% clip. So where he doesn't necessarily have the finishes and doesn't have a win here, he's just uber dominant. And if he can put the full race together, I would be very, very surprised to see Tyler Reddick not hit the optimal here. And we'll talk about it later, but he's who I have picked to win the race.
This is very, very true, Ken. I think that this is why his ownership will be significantly lower than Larson, Byron, Hamlin is all year. Yeah, you could consider this entire year a down year for Reddick.
Absolutely.
He's in the playoffs now. He made it.
Yeah, he had to go in points, and I think that Reddick is like almost a hybrid Byron Larson. Like he's got I wouldn't say as good of an ability to ride the wall as Larson. But he's a little safer. He doesn't tend to knock it down quite as often as Larson. And he's a little more aggressive towards the wall than William Byron is, who tends to drive a little more conservatively. So he's a nice hybrid between the two. And for Reddick, like public sentiment on him is a little down right now. And now he comes to a track where he consistently dominates. And the practice times looked really good. I'm really high on Reddick here.
And then guess after this, just a group of guys who sucked ass in practice.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need to talk much about Chase. He's obviously going to be a high PD play. I'm not super high on him just because Darlington's not a great track for him in general. I mean, in the Xfinity Series it was, but Cup Series has just kind of been meh.
He's led laps once off the pole.
Yeah. So
that's about it.
He's going to be a super popular play. I don't know if he's a guy that I'm going to chase leverage on. Because I don't think the upside, even starting 21st, is that significant.
Yeah, and then I mean Briscoe, he just sounded like Tuco from Breaking Bad during practice, yelling tight.
Yeah, that was the weirdest. Like he was terrible in practice, and there was a couple that were terrible in practice, and then he qualified second. But I guess the thing with Briscoe is he's kind of unplayable starting second because it seems unlikely he'd get the lead from Hamlin off the jump. And even if he did, like Hamlin's going to gun him down within a few laps, you would think. Obviously, Chase Briscoe carries race winning upside. He won this race here last year. But if you look at his performance in the Joe Gibbs car in the spring, if I can find it here. Where are you, Chase?
He started 4th.
Yeah, there we go.
And not a great in green. I don't know if he had a tire go down or something. It was during green flag laps. He just lost it.
Yeah, and just not super competitive. A long day for him. Not a guy I'm super high on.
You also haven't seen Truex do all that well here.
Yeah, there was one standout. Like I ran earlier this week. I ran like Dominators at Darlington, and it was the four guys you expect, like Hamlin, Larson, Byron, Reddick, and then Truex was fifth, but it was all based on one performance where he just dominated from the pole.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen kind of instances like this before where it's a track where Briscoe did well with SHR equipment and Truex did well with JGR equipment. You figure combining them both together would end up in a good result, but they kind of got those results in different ways. And I don't know, this is still just like a learning year for him. I think next year he may have a real breakout season. He kind of comes to his own with the in this equipment here, but just based on what we saw from him in the spring, he was not it.
Yeah, just doesn't stand out in just a tough spot. A fine sprinkle play if you want to use him as a differentiator, but I don't think we'll see him dominate, and I think his race winning upside is pretty low. Let's skip to one that I know you had some you had mentioned yesterday is Bubba Wallace, who qualified quite well, but this is a pretty good track for Bubba, and
it's a sneaky good track for Bubba. We've seen him kind of be really fast early on and then kind of fall off a bit. I don't know. He's just like cheap Reddick to me, and he's. I think this is like his best form ever.
Yeah, without a doubt,
really good form.
Yeah, if you look at Bubba Wallace finishes, of course, it's going to take me an hour. There you go. Obviously, Daytona, you can strike that off. Richmond, he was running well. He was doing okay. Like he led a good portion of that race, if I remember, or maybe that was Iowa. But anyway, really good, consistent finishes as of late, and now he goes to a track where he's fairly good at. It's just a kind of a hard spot starting 8th. What does he need to do to hit the optimal? It's probably a top 5, right?
Yeah. Well, he could. The thing is, like he could lead also. Like he's just the cheapest Dominator on the slate, I would say, because I don't think Barry's dominating. I'm sorry. Maybe you can make an argument for Keselowski eventually throughout the race, but that's neither here nor there. If you're going like 3 Dominator, which is a pretty safe way to attack the slate, you're gonna find yourself just going, Bubba is the third one. Why not? Like, you know?
Yeah, for sure. My doorbell's ringing like crazy, so I'm gonna leave you to talk about this Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski range, which I think is probably where the next.
All right, bet.
I'll be right back.
I was ringing his doorbell. Don't tell him though. So yeah, Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski. These are the 2-place differential plays. Bowman kind of really sucks here at this track. It's not a very good track for him, and sort of like with Bubba Wallace, we've seen pretty good results from him at this track type. When he finishes the race, we had that horrible stretch of form for him where you could see 35th, 37th, 35th, 29th, 36th, just a lot of wrecks. An unusual amount of wrecks for Bowman. He's usually a good finisher. You can see from the year before, pretty much a permanent top 10 at these intermediate tracks. We've seen Hendrick dominate before in the past, the last few races here. So I think him starting 29th will be a popular place differential play. It's riskier than you may think or be used to with Alex Bowman, but also he's like 50-1. You look at Kez, I mean, significantly better odds, multiple time winner here. Out of the playoffs, I mean, these guys are out of the playoffs. They're going to be doing some wild sort of strategy things. I would just say that Bowman is probably more of a GPP play than you may expect, even though he looks like a cash game play here. Keselowski is probably just going to end up being the chalk in this range for good reason. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry I was ringing the doorbell so much, bro.
If anybody needs solar panels, they're at my door right now, but I'm good for solar panels. Yeah, sorry, you were talking about Keselowski.
Yeah, and he's going, as I said, he was going to be the chalky one this range. And Bowman, while he looks like a cash game play, is actually a GPP play. Just mind the abysmal track history here.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the conclusion I came to. Bowman wasn't as interesting to me just based on track history. It's been a really, really tough track for him. Keselowski more interesting to me. He's had some pretty mediocre runs here the last 2 times, but before that, in the next gen, this was his best track. And starting 32nd for a guy who's won a race here last year.
Yeah.
A lot of upside.
Yeah, I mean, Keselowski, the only thing I don't love about him is that ownership's going to be nuts, but his price is like really, really, really cheap. He's going to help you afford a lot of people here, so it's really hard to avoid Keselowski. Luckily, I loaded up on him in Snake, so I don't have to go crazy with him in GPP because his ADP was just so wrong for a while. Since qualified 32nd, he had an ADP of like 12 for like a whole day, so that was pretty free. I mean, that's the way I'm going to attack this. I'm not very huge on Bowman. I would almost rather have like Kyle Busch, but really this whole range, the mid-range at a Dominator type track with 300 plus laps, 350 plus laps. I mean, you just kind of avoid this range, go cheap. I mean, honestly, I'd just take Ryan Preece. Of all these like place differential guys here, I mean, skip Hocevar. He cannot finish a goddamn race, but I mean, Preece looks pretty good.
Yeah. I would say Preece jumps out here just because Preece is just like been a bit of a Terminator when it comes to finishing.
Yeah. I think there's one concern with Preece was the fact that he was really slow in Group A. But
yeah,
other than that, I mean, we've seen him be kind of bad in practice, but it doesn't matter. He's just good at adjusting throughout the course of a long race.
Yeah, I agree completely. The other one I wanted to talk about in this range is Austin Hendrick, who really jumped out for me. He was really fast in Group B, which stood out. Those Penske cars seem to have good long run speed. He really figured something out here over the course of the last two races, or maybe that's just a representation of his improvement overall. I mean, but
just find it in the last 2 years, the steep intermediate tracks, he has one top 10 finish, one single one, 0 top 10 finishes here. I think that's going to keep people off of him.
Yeah,
I'm starting 10th. I don't know. It's an awkward spot, man. He would have to like win or lead laps or something. I just like if he's going to do it, something has to happen to Blaney. Like Blaney is just the older brother version of Hendrick here. Maybe if Blaney just gets wrecked out lap 2 again, and Hendrick's the only one left with the Penske long run speed. I don't know how that would work. Seems like they have somewhat similar setups just based on practice.
Yeah, I just think it's a good spot if you're trying to fit in another top 10 guys, which we know are so valuable here. A guy that can maybe finish towards the top 5, maybe finish 7th or 8th and score you 40 points. Calvin,
I don't think 40 points gets it done is the problem.
Yeah, unless there's a bunch of Dominators. There you go, Calvin. Boom, 50% off. Don't say we never did anything for you.
NFL 25.
We're getting up here on an hour, so let's go through. Can't wait for Bowman to win the race.
What up, Hale?
A Bowman win here would be pretty crazy. But man, what a story that would be. Noah Gragson was the one I had circled as probably my best punt play. Gragson has been unplayable as of late. If I can find Gragson here, I mean, like none of these finishes are worth anything. You have to go back to Charlotte to see an optimal type performance, but
that's great. It keeps his ownership down because we have not been at an intermediate track like this in a minute. And even when we have, we've seen him wreck out, but when he hasn't wrecked out, he's at like top 15 speed. And also we've seen front row be really good at this track. Like look at Gillen's history here. Even McDowell's gotten like a top 10 somewhere recently. Just last year.
And I think everything we're about to say about Noah Gragson to some extent goes towards Zane Smith, whose form has been significantly better than Noah Gragson. But both these guys have tremendous upside. This is one of the better tracks for Gragson, both in the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series.
Now, I will say Zane Smith, I don't like him just because when he was destroying the Truck Series, he was awful at this track. Like last year is the first time he had a good result at this track. I don't know what the deal was there, but he was miserable here in the Truck Series.
Yeah. Well, that Hocevar was also very, very good here in the Truck Series, and now he's terrible in the Cup Series. So maybe they switched. So I think Zane Smith, Noah Gragson, and even Todd Gilliland are all good plays. And then Ricky Stenhouse Jr., there's a lot of rumors around this team and this car. Stenhouse used to be a really solid play here, but the last 3 times we've been here kind of just been okay. But he is cheap enough and starts far enough back that he doesn't necessarily need to do a whole lot. And we saw instances in the historical where fairly low scoring punt plays hit the optimal. So I think Gilliland is still very playable.
Yeah, I mean,
or Stenhouse, sorry.
Yeah, Stenhouse. I mean, for what it's worth, he finishes in the top 25 here pretty much every time. That's plus 10. That's okay. That's fine. He's 5'5". He's gotten really, really cheap, so it can maybe work. I think I prefer Gilliland of everyone in this range.
Yeah.
Because his track history here is quite legit. Like, he is very good at this track. We've seen him at places like Kansas, Texas, Darlington earlier in the spring. Like, be really, really fast. Even Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you look at the track history for Gilliland.
Yeah, it's great.
Amazing. I'm gonna mute my mic and let you talk about Justin Haley because I just.
I mean, he has track position, dude, and he was 60-1 last night, right?
Yeah,
like
crazy.
He corrected a bit to 90-1, but he opened up at 300-1. He has 3 top 10s here. Yeah, it's crazy, right? He has a 3rd place finish here that was legitimate. Like, I can't say much. It was in the very beginning of the next gen era, and it was one of those things where it's like, damn, man, the parity in these cars are real.
Yeah,
and I don't know, but starting 13th, what would he have to do to be optimal here? Like, he would have to hold his track position probably, and then get fast laps. I don't know.
Listen, if he can hold serve and stay in the top 15 and find a couple of fast laps or maybe a laps led on a cycle, he's going to score similar to Gilliland or Stenhouse having pretty pedestrian runs. So it's really just a matter of if he can stay in the top 15. And, at one point he was able to, but the last couple of races he wasn't. So I think it's fine to get a little bit of leverage on him, but I'm not going to play Haley at like 20%. Like, if he's going to be 5% owned, maybe I'll go 8, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be the one overqualified play that's a little interesting. And then, shout out Ken. Ty Dillon, low key, playable.
Like, I think
so.
I mean, he finished 16th here in the spring, and you want to talk about a guy with
his equipment is so much better than it used to be. Like, his equipment's fine.
Yeah, I mean, look, 22nd is probably good enough in this spot. 20th is probably good enough. These are all good enough. This is good enough. This is good enough. These are good enough. He's consistently running around the top 20, and that's really all he needs here. I mean, if Ty Dillon goes out and finishes even 20th and gets 2 fast laps, he's going to score 34 points. And at $5,000, that lets you get in probably 2 of these top guys.
Or 3.
And, yeah, even 3. Like maybe
Hamlin,
a Byron
Larson lineups are in play today, like, for sure.
And he's only really got to do what he's done on these tracks pretty consistently. Like, we haven't seen in a long time Dillon just be a second off the pace and not competitive.
Yeah,
that just doesn't seem to happen. And if you go to the spring race, Ty Dillon started way towards the back, pushed forward a little, had an issue midway, and recovered really, really well. So
yeah,
that's if he gets put back, it's not like a death sentence for him. He has the speed to climb back into it. And
he's been good at just finding track position through strategy, like, consistently. It's starting to become a real thing. I know my wife, he says, I'm just here for the crash. Any predictions on that? Yes, put all your money on one Carson Hocevar, and I think you'll be happy. There you go.
That Ms. Taco?
This is Miss Taco, yeah.
Hello, Ms. Taco. Yeah, I mean, Hocevar is probably pretty much a lock for a wreck or a win at this point. Haley, I want anywhere from 8 to 10, maybe 12. You want to get different in this race. No one is going to touch Haley. He's been optimal, obviously, multiple times here. Yeah, we talked about that a little earlier.
He was optimal from like 25th on back is the thing. Like,
yeah, starting 13th.
Smashing this play. If he didn't start 13th, I don't know. It's a tough one for me. It's hard to swallow, but I won't have 0 Haley. It's very tempting to go 0, but just
no, I definitely won't. I'll have 0 Cole Custer.
I mean,
I'll on friend Cole Custer
20th every race, and he's starting 18th. So yeah, nothing's happening here.
Yeah. Oh, look at this.
I'll have 0 Riley Herbst, even though he is number 1 on your practice times there.
Yeah, I don't think that's super predictive. That's a good car in a good track condition. Choke Hold'em. Sorry, I'm late. Can you give me let's recap real quick. So I think the main dominators here, obviously Denny Hamlin is Dominator A. Byron and Larson are Dominators 2A and 2B. And then from there, Blaney and Reddick are probably that third group. Blaney less so. I think Blaney's more so going to get fast laps late and maybe compete for a win. I would be very surprised to see him lead significant laps. I would be very surprised if Tyler Reddick didn't lead significant laps. I think you'll see more of a return to form from Kyle Larson. I think this will be a very good race for him. Other than that, you've got guys like Chase Elliott who are going to be very obvious PD plays. Bowman and Keselowski are going to be strong PD plays. And then from a punt perspective, Gregson, Gilliland, to a lesser extent, Zane Smith and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And then there's some cute things you can do with like Ty Dillon. Any lower, I wouldn't play Timmy Hill. Don't get excited about his truck run. Probably not going to be super competitive here. And Cody Ware and Derek Kraus are just complete punt plays. If you're going to play Derek Kraus, you should probably just go to Ty Dillon. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
You hear that? No. Don't waste our money, dear. Put on Ty Dillon. If anything in that range.
Yeah. That's true for Daniels. 100% fade on Elliott. I don't hate that. Yeah. Because I think he's going to go way over owned. And like, there's a good chance like Elliott's just so good at finishing. And
he wants to finish 10th. So he's going to do everything he can to finish 10th.
And if he finishes 9th, like you've got him projected, he scores 53. That's probably not it's not enough for him to hit the optimal. He's got to be closer to the top 5 and score like 60 or 70. So I don't mind fading Elliott.
Well, it's really about if the domination split at all, he's screwed. Like if you need more than one of the guys up top, then I don't know how you get to Elliott without having a super punt.
Yeah, and without a major shakeup in the field, I don't see how Chase Elliott's going to get any Dominator points here either. Let's head over to the sports book. An hour, 1 minute. All right, we're close enough. We're good enough here. Okay, let's go over to this. Win picks here. I've already kind of placed my my bet on Tyler Reddick, but what are you thinking?
Oh yeah, for straight up win pick. I think we see Kyle Larson return to the winner's circle here.
Yeah,
I really like that.
I like that a lot too. Any long shots here that jump off the page to you?
I mean, shout out my boy Eric Jones. I don't think it's actually in the cards here, but you know, gotta love some 40-1 Eric Jones. Not love the price. I'm just saying it's nice to see him get the respect he deserves here. Here we have Haley back 66-1 on Bet365. Jesus Christ, these odds are short. You might as well get him 90 at fucking DraftKings, but maybe shoot for a top 10 over there. As far as long shots, I mean, I don't know if it's the Ty Gibbs week yet, bruh.
I feel like I tote for Ty Gibbs every week, but I can always make a case.
On here.
This is a good track for him.
Yeah.
He's had good performances here. He was fast and like obviously it was Group A and there's some context around that, but he was legitimately fast. So
I just wish he qualified. Tire management for a young guy.
Yeah, I think the problem with him has always just been he struggles with these long races. It seems like he always struggles to keep his composure through long races and makes mistakes late. But if he can put it together, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ty Gibbs have a good run. I also put on my Twitter, I have a whole list of, can I even find it? Last night, I put together a list of my favorite bets. Boom. If you go to my Twitter, at Brady there, you can follow me. You can hit this button and all of my plays for today are there. Any other the only other thing I played or think about playing is Kyle Larson stage 1 was kind of interesting to me just based on the fact that he's willing to go to the wall so early. And if we do see a return to form, it'll be apparent right away, I think.
Yeah, I think the only other thing was maybe over on the 7.5 cautions. I mean, you take out the 2 stage breaks, you just need 6 on-track incidents and a longer extended race. I like it. It's on Bovada. Let's see what they have here.
Yeah, 7.5. Yeah. Shaded a little over, but 17 cents a juice there, but still not a bad play.
I don't mind that at a track with extra laps. That's gone over, I think, the last several times.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
12 cautions here last year, and I would suspect something similar this year. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up? Maybe our most consumable Cup Series podcast ever.
Can you still get Shane Van Gisbergen plus or minus 700 to not make the Final Four? That's the best bet I've seen, and I think that might be the best bet I've seen since you could bet on Putin to win the presidential election in Russia.
1.14, which probably is around minus 750.
Drop $1,000 on that.
Yeah, I don't think Shane Van Gisbergen is going to make the Final Four. I would honestly be a
There's
little
literally
surprised.
no way. Like,
I would be a little surprised
chance
if he got it out of this round.
Yeah, but so that's still free money. I don't know if it's as good anymore, but
here's the thing though.
Yeah.
If he can make it out of this round, he's probably going to win at the Roval. So he's into the round of 8. And then it's like, well, shit. Stupid things can happen in the round of 8.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think the Roval's one of his worst road courses too. Granted, he's still probably going to win that bitch.
But
yeah, him AJ, but
he didn't win it last year. But I think he was in colleague last year, so different thing. My money is on Daniels. Who's Daniels?
Daniel Suarez?
Maybe. I don't know. But our most consumable, 1 hour, 6 minutes. That's not bad. Daniels in the chat. I got you. Yeah, Daniels knows what he's talking about. Shout out Daniels. Let's leave it there. Like I said, my win pick, Tyler Reddick. I feel like I tote for Ty Gibbs every week, so I'm not going to do it again here. But I do think there is some value at plus 5,000 here. There's also some other plays on my Twitter account. You can follow me over there, or you can get involved with dfsarmy.com. Go over there, get signed up. We do notes for every single driver in every single race. Also get access to the research station, which we referenced literally this entire podcast, and the Dom station, which you can go in here. Watch how easy this is. Cup Series. I need 600 lineups. I hate Chase Elliott, and I like Joey Logano. Boom, optimize. 600 lineups starting to spit out. Now, obviously, there's a lot more adjustments you can make to really make this work for you, but it literally is that easy. Head over to dfsarmy.com, get signed up. There's a promo code, whatever that promo code was. Boom, NFL 2025. That goes away tomorrow, I think. So make sure you hop on that right away.
Tomorrow, you got to use Taco. Oh, no.
Yeah, code Taco works too for 10% off lifetime, I think. What was my last point? Oh, next week is Gateway, right? Gateway, Xfinity, and Cup. We will be back for that. And then Bristol the week after. We got a bunch of good races coming up. And like I said last week, those NFL fish are starting to get a little money in the account.
Yeah, they don't know you just have to stack Penske and Kyle Busch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some good slates coming up. Enjoy the race tonight. We will be in the Discord for the last day. If you have any questions, if you want to chat, we will be there until next week. You're Taco. I'm not Taco, and we'll be back next week.
Helmets up. See you.